What's going on, everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be pairing up the world's smallest RTX 4090 external GPU with the all-new AOKZOE A1X handheld gaming PC. If you're not familiar with this, that's totally fine. It's brand new. It actually just launched on Kickstarter. I posted a video. I'll leave a link in the description, but we've got a pretty powerful handheld here with a variable refresh rate display coming in at 8 inches, Ryzen HX370. We've also got a full-size USB up top, USB 4, and on the bottom here, we've got another USB 4 port, but they've also added an Oculink port here, which is going to be way faster than USB 4 when connecting an external GPU. And like I mentioned, we're going to be using the world's smallest RTX 4090. This is the Morefine G1. It supports Oculink and USB 4. Really like this thing. We've also got 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 VRAM. And yeah, we're going to do some testing here. But before we get into it, I do want to mention that this video is sponsored by URCD Keys. I've been using this site for a long time. They offer Steam keys, Uplay, Ubisoft. But the main thing I usually pick up over here are Windows 10 Pro OEM keys. And right now, if you use code ETA, you can get 25% off, bringing the price down to $17 for that key. And keep in mind, this will also work with Microsoft Office products. We'll use code ETA. As you can see, brought it down to that $17 price mark. Personally, I use PayPal just to have that security, so we'll go ahead and check out. They're going to email that code to you. And now we can use that code to activate Windows 10 Pro. I'm going to head over to my updates and security. We're going to go to activation. As you can see, I've got Windows 10 Pro, but it's not activated. So I'm going to change product key. I'm going to paste it in here, choose next, choose activate, and Windows is now activated. We're ready to go. They'll email your code once your payment is processed, and that's basically it. If you're interested in picking up cheap Windows 10 keys for your new PC builds, I'll leave a link in the description. With the Morefine G1, they do offer a couple different variants. You can get this with the 4060, 4080, or obviously the 4090. That's what we've got here. It does come with an extra module, and you can swap this Oculink out for USB 4. I've got the Oculink module here. We also have USB Type-C, which will do 85 watt PD charging out, so we can keep the handheld charged up while we're gaming. Round back, 2 full-size HDMI ports, another USB 3 port, DisplayPort, and of course our power in. So this also kind of acts as a hub for the handheld, and you could always use this with a mini PC also if you wanted to. Getting the G1 connected is super easy. We're going to hold the power button for about 3 seconds. That's going to power the device on. And we've got 3 different performance modes here, and it's really the fan mode. There's a quiet, balanced, and performance. We definitely want to be in performance mode to get as much out of this thing as possible. And again, 85 watt charging out. So we'll just go to one of the USB-C ports on the AOKZOE A1X. And unfortunately, they did put the Oculink port on the bottom of this, and I've seen them do this quite a bit with other handhelds. Kind of wish it was up top, that way we could dock this a little easier. But now that we've got everything connected, we'll just boot the handheld up. And as soon as we get into Windows, as long as you've got the driver installed, we should see it display on the monitor here. The reason I wanted to go the Oculink route here was because we've just got a much faster connection. USB 4 is theoretically 40 gigs, and you're probably never going to see that with an eGPU. But with Oculink, it's 64 gigs, and for the most part, we're anywhere from 62 to 63. With the A1X, I will be running this at a 30 watt TDP because we're in dock mode right now, and we can just go right up to 30 with it. Also got a little bit of a fan curve that I've set up here. And as you can see, I mean, it's displaying on both screens, but in order to get the maximum performance out of an eGPU, you really only want to be using that external display. Even over Oculink, I've seen using the internal display can cut the frame rate in half. And obviously, we want to get as much as possible out of this setup here. And real quick, I'll give you a look. As you can see, we've got that AMD Ryzen AI9 HX370, 32 gigs of RAM with this handheld, and I've got 8 dedicated to the iGPU. So before I really start testing, I will go back into the BIOS and take it down to 1 or just set it to auto. Because now we've got that RTX 4090 connected here with 16 gigs of VRAM, and that's exactly what we're going to be using. And real quick, I did want to show you the reason I'm using Oculink over USB 4. When it comes to the connection speed, you can download an application known as AOKZOE. This will only work with NVIDIA cards. Over on the left-hand side, we're connected over Oculink. On the right-hand side, USB 4, and this is all in megabytes, but when it comes down to it, over Oculink, we're right there at 60 to 61 gigs. That's our transfer rate. Over USB 4, we're anywhere from 26 to 28 gigs. And as you may know, USB 4 does have a maximum transfer rate of 40 gigs, but we can never really reach that with eGPUs, and that's why Oculink does work so much better. Now, I want to give you a look at a couple benchmarks that I ran on the A1X. On the left-hand side, we're just using the iGPU, that 890M. And by itself, I mean, for an iGPU, it's no slouch. It's one of the best ones out there. It's got 16 compute units. But with 3D Mark Night Raid, you can see on the 890M, we got a 28,616. With the RTX 4090 connected over Oculink, we're now up to 48,158. And by the way, the TDP on the A1X was set at 30 watts for all of these runs. Jumping over to TimeSpy on the 890M, we got a total score of 3,570. And with the RTX 4090 connected, 16,889. I mean, this is a dramatic jump, and I knew we'd get better performance out of a dedicated RTX 4090, even though it's a laptop version, still putting down some really good power. Now I want to check out some real-world gaming, and the first one we have here is Spider-Man 2, 1440p, very high, DLSS set to balance, no frame generation. So with this laptop RTX connected over Oculink, I'd say frame gen is going to be one of your best tools to get higher frame rates. But with this game, all we needed was a little bit of DLSS to get up there at those very high settings. And if you take a look at Afterburner, up in the top left-hand corner, I've got the GPU power listed along with everything else. This external RTX 4090 can go all the way up to 130 watts, but for the most part, I mean, we're anywhere between 90 and 120 while gaming on it. Next one I have here is Marvel Rivals, and this did way better than I thought. I've been having a lot of issues with this game recently on a bunch of different GPUs, but at 1440 Ultra with DLSS set to balance, we're up in the mid-80s with it, which isn't horrible, but it would be nice to go ahead and lock this down at 120. I also had to test out Cyberpunk 2077, and with this one, we've got ray tracing set to medium, so we're at 1440p, ray tracing medium, and DLSS frame gen on. I was really interested to see how ray tracing performed on this, and if we wanted to go up to ray tracing high, it would lower that frame rate down to the mid-70s with frame gen on. But I think it looks great like this, and you know, if you're not into ray tracing, Ultra settings, DLSS set to balanced with no frame gen, we can also reach mid to high 70s with it. Checking out Black Myth Wukong, I'm just using the built-in benchmark. 1440p, very high, DLSS set to 69%, no frame generation. We got an average of 80 FPS by the end of the benchmark, and I thought it would be much lower than this with no frame gen. I also tested out the built-in benchmark for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. 1440p, very high. We don't need any scaling with this. We got an average of 140 FPS. Starfield, 1440p, Ultra, DLSS set to balance, no frame generation. Not horrible when you're doing planet exploration or indoors, but once you hit a city, this will dip under 60 FPS. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, if you're out and about in your ship, in tight corridors like this, or even wide open planets, you're going to see averages in the mid-60s. And the final game I wanted to test here was Monster Hunter Wilds. So this one didn't do very well at all. I had to drop it down to 1080 if I wanted to hit ultra settings, and I also needed to use DLSS frame gen. At 1440 Ultra with frame gen on, this would just fall right on its face. I mean, we're under 60, mid-50s with it. So 1080 with this one instead of 1440p on this setup is kind of where it's at. And I expected bad performance, but I thought it would be a little better than I was seeing at 1440. Either way, with frame gen at 1080, we can get mid-80s with it, and the game is playable. It just would have been really nice to be able to go ahead and get up to that 1440p resolution. Overall, this little eGPU paired up with the A1X over Oculink works out really well. I mean, we're seeing some great performance here, great for a nice little dock situation. But if you want to see this A1X running all by itself on the built-in iGPU, link for that video is down below. I've got a few more coming. Definitely want to install SteamOS on this thing, but I figured I'd get some eGPU testing out of the way first. And if there's anything else you want to see running on this device, just let me know in the comments below. But that's it for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.